you for the opportunity. I'll forgive you for massacring my name, but I am Dr. and Mrs. Yvonne Ajiman-Webera. Like he said, I'm a family physician and a public health expert. I am really very privileged to have your distinguished audience this evening. I'll just zoom right into the topic. Everybody welcome on board, and I hope that we'll have a very good and interactive session. Please feel free to use the reaction buttons if you want to clap, if you want to give thumbs up, if you want to interrupt and ask a question, just raise your hand and I'll stop for you to do exactly that. So we are talking about our health today. Yeah, I hope you can all see my screen. Right. Yes, I would like to start with generally what we'll describe as health. And I know that when we think about health, most of the time, the mental picture we have is an absence of disease, or we think about disease as well. But today, I want us to think about health not only in terms of the absence of disease, but in terms of a more holistic definition. I want to borrow the definition from WHO that says that health is a complete physical, mental, psychological, social well-being of a person and not merely the absence of disease. So I like us to think about health as a broad package. It's not just when you are sick or not that you are healthy. If you are physically okay and mentally you are disturbed or socially you are not connecting well, it means that you are not healthy. A few facts for us to ponder over. Currently, WHO assesses that the leading cause of death globally is cardiovascular. 3 out of every 10 mortalities you find died out of a cardiovascular origin, of course. And however, simple things like regular exercise, balanced diet, and just refraining from smoking and other maladaptive behaviors is able to greatly increase or reduce the risk of death by as much as 80%. And then like simple things like regular physical exercises adds a lot of years to your life. The Journal of American Medical Association published recently that 75 minutes of brisk walking every week is able to prolong your life by up to 1.8 years, almost 2 years. And then a double of that minutes engaged in walking is able to also prolong your life to about 3.4 years. If there was a pill to prolong your life, I'm sure you would have gotten it first, but very, very simple things like keeping yourself active is all that is required. And then sleep deprivation has been linked to a number of health conditions. Chief amongst them is diabetes, cardiovascular disease, depression, and the like. We are what we eat typically. So there's this cliche that says that junk in, junk out, and it's typical. Whatever you feed yourself in is exactly what will make you or unmake you. And so there's a very high mortality from poor nutrition globally. Now, I'd like us to focus on a new epidemic. You know that the world is currently recovering from a pandemic. We have barely stepped out of it. However, there's also another looming. This is not a pandemic, it's an epidemic. And it's so much so that the WHO characterized it as a full-blown disease in 2019. It's called burnout syndrome. It's a syndrome where there's chronic workplace stress. If that kind of stress is not well managed, you know, there's stress associated with everything. Every endeavor you have in life is stressful. The primary school child, I'm sure, feels some stress as compared to the one running his own business, compared to one who is an administrator. Somebody is messing with my screen. Okay. All right. So stress is a very common thing. However, managing stress is an art. Balancing life and work is a real act that we have to master. Otherwise, we suffer from what is called burnout. I don't know. I'm sorry. Somebody is my screen.
Okay.
Dr.
So,
Adams, can you?
Okay. So kindly go on and we'll take the person off.
Okay, you rectified. Okay, thank you so much. And so burnout is not just an individual problem, it's an organizational problem, and so must be tackled like that. It's characterized by feelings of constant fatigue, exhaustion, detachment from work. The kind of motivation you started your work with is not the same that you are continuing with. You probably might be having burnout syndrome. And as much as more than 3.43, more than 75% of people or careers globally, professionals globally, have experienced this syndrome at one point or the other in their careers. Women more than men, of course, you can imagine why. And in certain professions more than men, others. Like health professionals are touted as being among the highest ranking in this burnout syndrome. So it happens when people feel that they have very little control over their lives, they are not in professions they love, they have difficulty achieving this work-life balance, and then they work long, heavy hours. In 2016, WHO recorded about 745,000 deaths from heart disease and strokes as a result of people working long hours. So actually, it's something that we really need to discuss and guard against. So generally, we are worried about burnout because it's counterproductive. You went to work to achieve productivity. However, when this syndrome sets in, you are unable to produce be productive as much as you wish. And then it also is a precursor for a lot of serious health conditions. And most importantly, it coexists with certain maladaptive behaviors like drinking and then not taking care of your health in general. So it's something that we must really guard against. Why does it matter? Why should you care? Because everything begins and ends with you. It is you who decides the kind of health you want to have, the kind of life you want to have. And being healthy is not a wish list. It doesn't just happen like that. You would have to make intentional choices. You have to make smart choices. You have to make decisions that culminate in being healthy. Now, I know that you cannot really read what is on my slide in terms of the diagram, but I just put it through this in here so that you have a sense of the kind of impact that stress has on the body. So burnout will lead to stress. Stress is defined as a type of change that causes physical, emotional, and psychological strain on the person. Most importantly, it has psychosomatic manifestations. What I just mean by that is that stress actually manifests in physical disease. So sometimes, many times, I know it happened to me many times, you feel that we call it malaria symptoms. I feel like I have malaria. You go to the lab, malaria parasites are absent, and however, you feel so unwell, and you take anti-malarials and you feel well, and you think that, oh, it was just malaria, but the lab didn't detect it. It could have just been stress. Stress shows up in your body in so many ways, a common pathway to disease. As you can see from this diagram, every part of the body is impacted by stress, from the head to the sole of the feet, from the skin right down to your internal organs. In the stomach, for instance, it shows up as inflammatory bowel disease. In the heart, it can lead to heart disease, it can lead to heart attacks, and then increase your cholesterol levels. In your psychology too, it can present as irritation, anger, anxiety, depression, and various things. And even for people who are trying to achieve conception, stress has been known to delay or prevent conception because it counteracts reproductive hormones. Right, so it's not a good thing to, so however, I'd have to point out the fact that stress is good. Stress is good. However, high levels of it is what is detrimental to our health. So at the center of stress is the high cortisol levels. Cortisol is classically the stress hormones in the body. Cortisol is very beneficial. It's what gives us the energy, makes glucose available, maintains our blood pressure so that we're able to maintain normal functioning of the body. But high levels of cortisol will do things like a high blood pressure, will reduce our body's ability to fight disease, will cause us to gain weight. So you heard people say that when I'm stressed, I find myself typically gaining weight. And then also increases blood glucose, which will result in diabetes eventually. I threw this in here to give us a certain kind of perspective. As we talk about stress and burnout syndrome and then well-being, there are clusters of people in this world who have found certain secrets that makes them to live longer. So when you go to certain communities in the world, they are called blue zones. In fact, there's a fantastic documentary on Netflix about this thing I'm talking about. You can go and then watch it. In places like Okinawa, Loma Linda, an area in California, researchers have found that there are certain groups of people who don't seem to encounter disease or mortality. They live well beyond their 90s and 100s. Actually, when I watched the documentary, you see 100-year-olds just picking up their farm tools and going to farm or going about their daily hustle like it was business as usual. And one thing or a few things that was running through all these communities were classically four things: the kind of diet they ate, they had regular physical exercises. What I found particularly interesting was strong social connections. Sometimes we live in our own bubble. We are just interested in our deadlines and achieving this target, achieving that target, forgetting to enjoy the people around us. So strong social connections came out as one of the things that increased their longevity and a sense of purpose. Most of us go to work grumbling. We are not happy about what we do. We have to survive anyway. However, if we're lucky to find work that was around where we found a strong sense of purpose, it improves our coping mechanism with stress. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are two sides of the burnout syndrome. There's an individual side and organizational bit. So with organizational efforts towards reducing burnout syndrome, you have things like, usually in places where I worked in Ghana, it wasn't too frequent to see your employers engage with employees to know the kind of improvements they should make in the workplace or workspace. I'm very happy that I'm interacting with business owners and CEOs and people like that, people who can actually influence policies. You know, it's good to get feedback from employees in how to make the work environment more healthy and then less stressful. A place like Google classically incorporates this into their structure. They have on-site fitness centers, they have mental resources available, and they serve healthy food options. And global statistics have shown that there's as much as 15% increase in productivity and a 30% reduction in employee absenteeism from trying to incorporate some of these wellness strategies in our workplaces. So what are we talking about here? Promote a healthy work culture. Offer mental health support. At least maybe there should be a psychiatrist available or psychologist available on call. There should be materials available at the least. Brighten your office spaces. I remember where I used to work in Ghana, like the office isn't even appealing. You get there and then you're already very bored because there's nothing to make the place appealing. You can put potted plants, beautiful wall hangings. It's not much, but it releases stress and makes people smile. And when people smile, there's a general good feeling about the place. And then we ought to make meaningful connections at work. I know that work is not the place where you're going to find your best friend, but it's helpful to know that we have a team that is supportive when they need to be. Individual efforts. There are so many things we can do as individuals to ensure that we don't come under the burden of stress or burnout syndrome. I'll say it again and again, and it's not a cliche. Don't overwork yourself. Work predates us, and work will last where it will outdate us. It will last way after we are gone. The only thing that is limiting here is your existence and your personality. That work you're doing, that you're laboring over, can be done by a number of people. So please be compassionate to yourself. Ask for help when you need it. Set boundaries. You can't do everything. Prioritize your work and delegate. And you see, in our environment, sometimes when you delegate, you seem to be seen as lazy, but it's a smart way of working. And these days, we don't work hard, we work smart. You leverage technology so much to help you with your work delivery and output. It really comes in handy. And then self-care. I mean, in the US, one of the favorite words you find in workspaces, in institutions is self-care. We've got to learn to love ourselves, to prioritize ourselves first. Because if you don't prioritize yourself, nobody is going to do it for you. So self-care is a means of recalibrating yourself, just sort of putting yourself back into factory settings where everything is at peace, where there's equilibrium, where there's serenity all around you. Work on your physical self-care. Take care of your body, take care of your mind. There are meditation, mindfulness apps, and realization apps that you can access. One is Koru, Koru. These apps are free online. You can engage them 15, 20 minutes a day. You can just decide to relax, breathe in and out. It's very simple. These things don't cost money, but they make all the difference. Watch movies, engage some games. Sometimes all you know is your biology, all you know is your financial, accounting techniques. But learn to enjoy the rest of the world. Now, some of my new found hobbies are playing Sudoku. I never engaged in those things. All I knew was my books, but I've decided to take a step back and enjoy some of these things. Watching movies has a way of de-stressing you. And then emotional self-care, love and also receive love. Practice happiness and contentment. Social healthcare, like I said, it's very important to connect, make meaningful connections, and spend time with people you love, family and friends, because they are the ones who are going to organize the 60th birthday for you, the 70th birthday. It's not your work. Well, after they have retired you at 60 years or 65, that's it. They will not keep in touch. The people who will keep in touch are the people you had bonds with, had meaningful connections with, people that you considered your friends. So it's very important that as we go about our heavy work schedules, we also find time to bond. You are paying high school fees at international schools, but you don't know the name of the teacher of your child, or you don't know what they are teaching him or her. You don't know how much he's performing or scoring in math or in French. However, this child is your future, and also learn to take a great vacation. Also, by all means, whichever religious affiliations you practice, make sure that you are always in touch with your spirituality. There's so much we can say about nutrition, but I'll give a few snippets. So WHO recommends that at least to keep healthy, you must have about 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. And you can Google to know how much a serving of a fruit or vegetable is. I know the standard is high. I know that sometimes it's very aspirational and ambitious, but I put it here just to let you know that you think you're doing something, but you just need to up your game. 5 good servings of fruits and vegetables is what the body requires to keep healthy. And then typically a good, healthy, balanced diet should be made of fiber. Fiber is the hard part, the chewy part of food. And then whole grains, things like wheat bread, brown bread, and then omega-3. Omega-3 fatty acid is very good for the heart health, since we know that cardiovascular disease is #1 killer. You can get this in avocado and olive oil. It doesn't mean that you should go and pile up so many avocados and say, doctor said omega-3 is good for your heart health, so you're eating all the avocado, it still has cholesterol. There's a substance called polyphenols. Polyphenols is a great discovery because it's anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. Why this is important is that every disease manifests through inflammation. Cancer causes inflammation, diabetes, hypertension. Everything that is a disease causes inflammation. When there's high inflammation in your body, it means that your body is prone to all manner of sicknesses. So what you try to do by eating or taking antioxidants is to reduce your level of inflammation. And these things are naturally found in berries, apples, grapes, citrus, things like oranges, tangerines, and then green leafy vegetables, your consomme, your spinach, will give you all the polyphenols you need. Your onions will also do the same. Things like green tea, black tea, and coffee can also give you polyphenols. There are also great snacks like walnuts, almonds, and then there's this new, I won't call it new, but a diet that is becoming very, very popular. The plant-based diet is being touted as one of the best diets for for keeping healthy, for checking your weight, for keeping disease far away from you. At the center of this plant-based diet is beans. I know that for the Ghanaian community, when you think of beans, you're thinking of gobe with all the plenty, palm oil and all, but the plenty palm oil kind of defeats the whole purpose of staying healthy. Beans itself is a very highly nutritious, highly healthy staple. So most of this is built around beans, legumes, and lentils. And then your normal oats and brown rice is very good also as a source of polyphenols, dark cocoa, and then chocolate. I know that we have this brown cocoa, dark chocolate in Ghana, dark cocoa, or unsweetened cocoa that people usually take without sugar. Is not sweet, but it's a very good source of polyphenols, which are a great source of antioxidants. And then avoid sugary drinks as much as possible. Processed foods, processed meat. The meat that is really helpful or beneficial, if any at all, is the white meat. So you find that in poultry, in rabbit meat, and then as much as possible, avoid processed meats like corned beef, sausages, and burgers and stuff. And then anything that increases blood sugar. So your sugary drinks, your bread, cake, anything with white flour is not really great. Things as common as sleep. Enjoying a good night's sleep is sometimes all the medicine you need. It's interesting, sleep has been linked to, or sleep deprivation has been linked to so many illnesses. Your hypertension, your heart disease, your depression, dementia. And I particularly find dementia a very, very sad condition because you have worked so hard all your life. By 60, 65, when you are trying to enjoy the fruits of your labor, an illness called dementia sets in. You can't even remember the name of your wife or your husband, or you can't find the way to your own home. And you are living, but you are not enjoying your life. This disease can be very life-limiting. And some of the things that will prevent dementia is good nutrition, good sleep, and then exercise. Exercise, the whole point about exercise is consistency. Consistency is key. However small exercise we engage in, research has shown that exercise is very beneficial, however small you engage in. However, WHO recommends that 150 minutes every week you engage in exercise, and it's good enough to keep lots of sicknesses away. That translates into about 30 minutes daily, 5 times a week. Exercise improves sex, endurance, mood, and sleep. And all these things constitute you don't necessarily need membership card at the gym. You can just take a walk, you can dance. And all these things help you to keep healthy. Exercise, what does it do? It reduces all-cause mortality. It means mortality from every cause by about 30%. That's a huge number statistically. And then reduces incidence of things like diabetes, colon cancer, breast cancer. So even the cancers are reduced by exercise. Hip fractures, depression, all that is improved greatly by engaging in exercise. I chose hypertension because most people suffer hypertension. Most people don't know, and there are very easy ways of managing your blood pressure. Like we said, cardiovascular disease is #1 killer worldwide, and one of which causes of cardiovascular disease is hypertension. There are several ways of controlling your BP. You see, so for the BP management, there is a machine, the sphygm manometer. Yes, available, very easy to find, very cheap. You can operate it by yourself. There's a sugar, blood glucose testing. You can also get that kit. You can store it by your bedside. When you're going to sleep, you check your blood pressure. You wake up in the morning, first thing you check your blood pressure. You can keep it at your office desk. Just keep constantly checking your blood pressure because it can be symptomless. Well, sometimes you're lucky, it gives you headaches, it gives you palpitations, but often it's symptomless. And the thing about blood pressure is that it greatly affects your kidneys. And we all know how dangerous kidney disease is in our setting. We don't have the resources to support people with chronic kidney failure. And you don't even want your kidneys to fail because there are so many ways of preventing that progression of disease. when you limit your salt intake, when you engage in exercise and you go on a diet called DASH, it's called a DASH, which actually stands for Dietary Approaches for Stopping Hypertension. There are so many of these dietary approaches. A lot of it is on Google. If we have time, you can ask, and then I can go into much more detail on this DASH diet. And then generally, maintaining a good health helps you to control your hypertension or prevent it in general. So you might say that, okay, these things are a lot and I'm a very busy person. You just don't know how busy I am. I'm very busy. I know. I understand that you're very busy. And I have examples of great world leaders who probably are juggling the same thing as we are juggling, or even more, because they had very important jobs to do, or they still have very important jobs to do. How do they juggle work and life? One of our favorite couple of all time, Barack and Michelle Obama. We learned that Barack Obama wakes up every day, has a routine of working out in the morning before his day starts, and this has helped him greatly to manage the stress of being a president. And then Michelle, his wife, also, both of them actually emphasize family time. Countless times we'd hear them talk about their families and how their daughters are doing. And then Michelle had this great culture of, she calls it kitchen table, where she had 4 of her best girlfriends come over, I think every Friday, to talk about life and then just have a laugh. Even they, at the height of their professions, had time to bond socially, so you don't have an excuse. Someone like Angela Merkel, a former German chancellor, used to host something she calls a walking meeting. So instead of doing the traditional roundtable discussion, she would ask her guests to walk with her, and then through the walking, they did all their important discussions. She was known to take her regular vacations and then hiking trips. So as we talk about these things, just also find ways by which you can incorporate some of these things we are talking about into your very busy schedule. People like these prime ministers of Canada and then New Zealand also were known to are known to prioritize mental health and their mindfulness practices. And then the man of the moment, Joe Biden, the president of one of the most powerful nations globally in the world, the USA, undergoes regular medical checkups. Of course, at his age of 81, it's very important. I'm sure that he didn't start now, he started long ago, and that's why he's still fit and is able to do such an important job at his age. And he also emphasizes quality time with his family. Many times he's spotted with his grandchildren at public events. And so it tells us that people like that also tries to maintain close family bonds. I'll end with Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, and then Indra, former CEO of Pepsi, were known to build strong teams and delegate. So like I talked about delegating, if you are the only one who runs the show in a company, definitely you will not have anybody to hand over, or definitely you don't have anybody to delegate some of your responsibilities to. That is why it's very important to build strong teams, mentor people, so that when you need to take your vacation to the Hawaii or the Caribbean, you have somebody to watch your back for you. So in essence, as we close this session, I'd like us to know that for men, prostate screening is very important because it's very preventable when detected early. Same as cervical screening for women. Every year, you're supposed to get your pap smear checked, but if you had it last year or this year and it's healthy or it's normal, I think you are put on a 2-monthly or 2-yearly checks. So at the center of it all, you must have a dedicated family physician like myself, or a primary care physician. I know that most organizations hire or have hospitals where their families are attended to. So build relationships like that and have them check you, profile you, and then send you reminders when certain screenings are due. Women must have their ultrasound and mammograms yearly. And then for the blood pressure checking and blood sugar checking, you can take it upon yourself to do it every day. And then as much as possible, if you have hypertension or you have diabetes, because this affects the kidney, and kidney illnesses really are very, very silent. By the time kidney disease tells you that, hey, you've gotten kidney disease, you can be sure that most of your kidney function is gone and you are on the edge of an end-stage renal disease. So please, your doctor might not do that for you, but you are responsible for your own health. When you go for your checkup every 6 months, ask your doctor to write labs for you to check your kidneys and to check your cholesterol. I know in our environment, we don't really prioritize dental checkups. I hope that some of us do, but research has shown that poor oral hygiene manifests in having calluses. In fact, if you don't clean your teeth every 6 months, you are very likely to have poor oral hygiene. Shows up in periodontal disease, and periodontal disease has been linked to several conditions, the dementia we are talking about, the cardiovascular. In fact, a lot of things are linked these days. So please, by all means, get your dental checkup. So it's time to engage. I've been doing the talking for the past 28 minutes, and maybe you have some contribution, something you want to reaffirm or emphasize, something you need clarification on, you can let me know. Just unmute yourself and then ask any question you have. If there's nobody asking questions, I have a few questions to engage us. Thank you so much for your attention. Beyond here, I would want you to create a personal well-being action plan. It's very important. Everything starts with getting an action plan. It's okay to listen, but you must decide what you are inputting into your schedule to make things work for you. Okay, thank you so much for your rapt attention. I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Yvonne Senam Woyome, for such a powerful presentation. And I know as members and non-members, we've listened to, wow.
Okay, I see the number of questions.
Yeah, 20 minutes. So I will begin to take some questions. So we'll start with Stephen Lomote. Stephen Lomote, kindly ask your question, or mute and ask your question.
Yes, good. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm looking at the trajectory from maybe stress, that is anxiety, to depression. And then I want to know when people begin to get mental issues. I want to know because of certain experiences I have seen, witnessed. I want to know the stage at which the stress will culminate into a mental problem.
Before that, please, is that Professor Stephen Lomote?
Exactly.
Okay, so Prof, welcome. So you can go on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that very insightful question. You're right. So mental illness is a spectrum. But for some of us in our environment, when we think of mental illness, we are thinking of the full-blown, psychiatric person removing their clothes, being on camps and all. That's on the higher side, and they have all kinds of diagnoses for them. But it actually starts on a very, very, very innocuous scale. Mental illness, like Prof, you mentioned, could start as anxiety. We all go through anxiety. Anxiety is that kind of feeling where you're not sure of yourself, you're panicking here and there. All these things are on the spectrum of mental illness. So elsewhere in the world, you are encouraged to start speaking to a psychologist very early. When you start getting anxious about things, when you're panicking about things, they tell you go to therapy, see your therapist, because the more you pile up these things, the more it becomes full-blown. And usually, sometimes you don't know, you don't have a family history, or you don't know your family history, but there are genetic predispositions to full-blown mental disease precipitated by stress. Stress of an exam, stress of a marriage, stress of work can tip you off to full-blown mental illness, things like schizophrenia, things like bipolar, and things like that. So, Prof, thank you so much for that question. It starts very early, and as early as it starts, it must be checked.
Okay,
thank you.
So, another hand is up from Samsung. The name is Samsung SM. Can you ask your question, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Senam, for your wonderful presentation.
Please,
my question is, you mentioned about the diet. I'm Samuel Kozosanyo, please. Dr. Samuel Kozosanyo. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not by my laptop, so I'm using the Samsung. My question goes this way, as simple as this. you made mention of the diet, especially when we are talking about sugar intake. May I know specifically, in case you are drinking tea, are you supposed to drink it raw, or probably you replace it with probably honey or something? If probably you can highlight on that.
You're right. Honestly, for me, I take my tea in the morning raw. I've learned to take it raw. It's sweet. It's sweet in my mouth. It's an acquired taste. You can decide to learn to take your tea raw. But some people say, "Oh, we have to enjoy the finer things of life, so a little sugar won't hurt." A little. But these are avoidable ways of using sugar. You can learn to use it raw. Or there are these peptides that taste like sugar. There's stevia and other products, sweetness, more like peptides, saccharin products that are not sugary but taste like sugar. You can use those because they are not simple sugars. As much as possible, you can avoid it. You talked about honey. Honey also is a form of sugar. So though we talk about honey, it also is a form of sugar. It's also best to avoid. It's better than the white sugar, but it's also best to avoid it.
Okay, thank you.
And usually it's all about the quantities. Usually it's all about the quantities. Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Sarkodie.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Let me also join my colleagues to thank Dr. Yvonne, or then I don't know the name very well.
Yvonne, it's Yvonne. It's Yvonne. Yvonne is fine.
This is a very fantastic presentation. I know this one is better than giving some money. Just when you are healthy that you can look for money. But when you are not healthy, where is the money? But we wanted to see whether you can further indicate to add some of the food that are very good to our health. May you mention some of them? Maybe most of them were foreign food. We are in Ghana here, so I want further this known.
So let me see. Yeah, it's not, the emphasis is not on foreign food. Forgive me if it looked like it. So fruits and vegetables, we have a big spectrum of fruits and vegetables in our environment. So all the fruits and vegetables are things, especially the citrus, things that will give you vitamin C, like pineapple, tangerine, oranges, apples. They are very common in our environment. Mangoes are good for vitamin A and vitamin C as well. Then our contumely, you cannot go wrong with contumely. I mean, every week, try and get some contumely in your diet. Best when it's just browned and then with your onions and garlic and stuff. Eating like that is great. You can just spice it up with a little olive oil if you can afford it. And it's wonderful. I know that most of us are used to eating rice. So instead of eating the white rice, let's replace it with brown rice or the local rice. Most of us don't like the taste of that. But I found out that when you mix it with the white rice, you eventually acquire the taste for eating the local brown rice. And then you wean yourself off the white rice completely. Things like avocado are great. So when we talk of things which have high glycemic index, things that will give you high blood sugar, the sugars. So we discourage that and we say that go for things like complex starch, complex carbohydrates, like sweet potatoes is fantastic, plantain, yam, cassava. They are great tubers you can eat with your consomme or soup. Normally, and then I talked about the meats, our red meat. We like to eat red meat a lot, but if we can replace it with chicken and fish, and then things like rabbit meat, these remunam, I don't forgotten the English word for that, but it's also very healthy. So there are so many great options. We have food. Yes, please. Did you want to say something?
No, you said in remunam, I said bushmeat.
Yes, bushmeat, exactly. Bushmeat, very expensive, but very healthy, you know. Please, I hope I've answered you. Have I given you some food, combinations that would help?
That's exactly.
And yes, your breakfast could be oats. just oats. Oats is great. You can chop in some fruits. You can add some honey to it to taste. Some people just chop in fruits to sweeten it. Oats is great. Oats with your brown bread is fantastic. For your morning meal with some avocado and salad on the side, it sets you up for a great morning or a great day.
Okay, so we'll take Ibrahim Asante. Then after that, we'll take the last one from Lady Dove. So Ibrahim Asante, kindly unmute and kindly ask your question. Then after that, we'll take Lady Dove. Then Dr. Yvonne, you answer the two together. The question from Ibrahim Asante and that from Lady Dove. So Ibrahim Asante, kindly ask your question.
So mine is a commendation that is a very brilliant presentation, and we look forward to sharing it with us on the platform. Very brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Also, Lady Dove.
Yeah, Dr. Yvonne, thank you for the presentation.
Kindly introduce yourself. Eh?
Say again.
Kindly introduce yourself.
I'm Professor Jibaman Kamalomote.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Prof.
And my question is, looking at I think the slide before the one that is showing currently, there was a portion where Dr. Yvonne, very good. That's the first point. Excuse me. Don't overwork yourself. You don't have to do everything. Set time boundaries. Ask for help when necessary. In fact, immediately I saw that one, a friend came to mind. This is somebody who lost their husband, and then at the time she lost their husband, she had 3 children. The oldest at the time was 14, the youngest was 9. And they are all girls. And the man's family refused to give her a helping hand. So she became a workaholic. And out of that, she even developed diabetes. And as I'm speaking currently, the youngest of the girls has a bipolar condition. And she works 48 hours a day. You understand what I'm talking about? Because she lives outside the country, and anytime, currently she's doing support work because she used to be a chef. But she tells me at a point she couldn't stand to do the work. She comes back from work and the children will have to put her feet in water. So she just decided to now go in for support work. Even with the support work, because she will earn extra pounds by sleeping at the workplace, she sleeps there because when you sleep, you get extra 90 pounds. So you barely see her at home. So such a person, how is this kind of advice going to work for her? Because when you talk, she will listen with one ear. But eventually, the thing flies away because she tells you no one is supporting her. In fact, since the husband died 14 years ago, nobody has supported her. And 2 of the children are still in school. So what advice can you give such a person? I want to pass it on to her.
Oh, Prof, thank you so much for giving us a very good context. This puts everything we are talking about in perspective. It's really, really sad to hear her story, and there are so many stories like that. And I really appreciate the kind of hassle she's had to go through to take care of her children. It's very founded. There's a good reason why she's stressing. But like you said, you see, point is that so life can be tough. Life happens. Stress is looming at the corner. Burnout is real. That's why we still need to prioritize. We still need to prioritize. Like Prof, I'm sure you have given her great advice, and I actually should leave the floor for you to speak some more. I'm sure you've told her a couple of things. Thing is, you're sleeping over at the workplace. Well, if you sleep throughout the night, it's great. But if you can forfeit that 90 pounds to prolong your life, what would you choose? So it's just about the risk and the benefit analysis. Yes, you need money, your children need to be supported, but there are things that you can cut out to ensure that you are also regaining your strength, so that, because you only have one body, you only have one you, work will always be present, work will always be available. Try and cut in a few hours here and there to maximize your health and your well-being. You know, some of these things is not just about the physical overworking, but mentally, she doesn't find time to also relax and spend time with her children. I'm sure one of the children had, because of the stress of the loss of their dad and their mom's constant, working and its attendant issue, probably may have developed bipolar as a result of that. The point is that we sacrifice so much to gain so little when we refuse to stick by some of these self-care practices. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to be compassionate. Nobody will do that for you. I don't know, but it might not be very adequate for her situation, but let us try. We can try and drum home some of these things. We all can find ways by which we can prioritize our self-care above our needs. And it should work. I don't know if somebody else also has advice for our dear case study.
Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Yvonne Senam Woyome, for giving us such a powerful presentation. We are grateful to have you tonight to share with us on how we can manage our well-being as leaders. There are still several other questions here, which I might have to pass it on to you later. For the sake of our time, I will just mention a few whilst maybe at the closing stage, maybe you can come back again. Then we'll have some of these questions sorted out. In your presentation, you made mention of colleagues in an office. And here we are leaders here, and there are people in our offices. And you made mention of colleagues that when we introduce in our offices, it helps us to manage our stress. So maybe you might have to talk to us a bit on that again. And you also made mention of some applications that we can access, apps we can access to help us with stress management as well. Maybe you also have to talk to us a bit about those applications. And finally, how do we practice happiness? How do we practice happiness as leaders? So these three things, maybe you might have to come back for your last 5 minutes after the presentation from Reverend Dr. Francis Sarkodie Addo on health and safety. Just give us about 5 minutes, run up on that. But before we bring in our second facilitator, in our midst, we have our own NEC member, Apostle Dr. EOK Donko, Apostle Dr. EOK Donko. Apostle, would you want to share with us a minute or two on what you've discussed so far before we bring in our next presenter? Apostle Dr. EOK Donko, you can kindly unmute your microphone. Okay, so then we'll bring in our second facilitator, and he's in the person of Reverend Dr. Francis Sarkodie Addo. Reverend Dr. Francis Sarkodie Addo. He is currently the head of facilities for Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center. So kindly take over now. Thank you. Dr. Sarkodie, you can now take over, please.
Okay. Can you hear me, Dr. Bediako?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Yvonne, kindly close your PowerPoint so Dr. Sarkodie can share his PowerPoint.
Okay. Thank you. I believe you can see the presentation. As he said, be sure if the structure can see.
Hello, can we hear Dr. Sarkodie?
I want to be sure you can hear me. Yeah, Dr. Bediako.
Okay, so Dr. Sarkodie is connecting back, and he will be with us shortly. So whilst Dr. Engman, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying that we can't hear him. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, so whilst we wait for Dr. Sarkodie to connect back, can we go back and give Dr. Yvonne about the 5 minutes to share with us the 3 questions given to her? So Dr. Yvonne.
Yeah, so I realized that there was even a question in the chat box. I went back to post the answers in the chat box, so anybody interested could quickly refer to the chat box. But well, whilst we wait for our second speaker, I could just go ahead and vocalize what I was saying. So office spaces can be brightened by colors, potted plants like that are generally green, and putting beautiful wall hangings on the wall. There are lots of talents which are good or who are good in these beautiful canvases. There's even some loitering all over town you can just buy. It's not too expensive, like very little things that can make interiors very attractive and inspiring for employees, like employing the use of white blinds to bring in light into your workspace. And then even at your office desk, you can put a potted plant there. Yes, I think Dr. Sarkodie is back. I'll just give the floor to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so please kindly still bear with us whilst I think it had to do with network issues, and whilst Dr. Sarkodie still joins us for the second part of the presentation. And here we will basically be looking at the safety at the workplace, your responsibility as the leader.
Good evening, Dr. Bediako, and good evening, everybody. I want to be sure if you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you now intermittently, but we can hear you. We can't hear you now. Your sound is not audible. Thank you.
Okay, so whilst we still wait for Dr. Sarkodie to come in, get connected, Dr. Yvonne, can you conclude on your presentation you were giving? Then we'll still wait for Dr. Sarkodie to join us.
Okay, so I was emphasizing the need to inspire our workspaces with the use of wall hangings and then potted plants, and then also aromatherapy. Simple things like investing in scented oils just to refreshing our workspaces. Also, that's the magic. So that's where I'll leave it. I don't remember the other. Yes, the mindfulness apps. There are a couple of apps you can get on your App Store, your Play Store. Just search out for them. It helps you to be mindful every day and then practice meditation and relaxation. And then games like Sudoku, Scrabble, Monopoly, and things like that also helps to ginger your mind and rejuvenate you. Thank you.
Yeah, the act of practicing happiness.
Oh, happiness. So I think happiness is an individual thing. It's a function of what you are interested in, what makes you tick, what makes you lively. So the point is spend time with people and scenarios or conditions that make you happy. You might not have all the things you need in life. You might not have all the money you are gunning for, but along the way, as you journey to where you want to go, enjoy the people around you, enjoy the scenarios and then conditions around you. Just make time to be happy. Like I said, it's a practice because it might not come naturally to you. And the circumstances that we find ourselves may not naturally inspire happiness, but you can decide. So everything is intentional. Like I said, health or being well or wellness is an intentional choice you make. Let us try to intentionally be happy. Me, for instance, I watch a lot of movies. It makes me happy. I go to church. It makes me happy. I play games. It makes me happy. I connect with my family. Above all, that keeps me very happy. So we all have to learn what makes us happy and engage in those. I hope that my answer is good enough for your question. Thank you.
Yes. So whilst we wait for Dr. Sarkodie, Reverend Dr. Sarkodie to join us, any contribution, any question so far what has been presented before I come in with the second round of announcement? before I come in with the second one of announcement. Okay, Problem Nefia.
Yes, good evening. Good evening to you and good evening, members. This is a wonderful occasion. How I wish it was an in-person presentation, but all the same network issues, no matter what, we've got a lot of information. Dr. Yvonne, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation. Thank you very much. I've been on the road. Internet service has not been very good, and now I think I have opportunity to talk. And thank you for the opportunity. I just want to add a few things from my personal life. Dr. Yvonne just talked about being intentional about happiness. Nobody can happy you, as somebody told me. No one can make you happy. It is just you yourself. And then there is this Bible verse that actually is very satisfying. Contentment. Contentment. The Bible talks about contentment. You know, godliness with contentment is great gain in Timothy. Contentment is what we ourselves decide we want. You have 2 pence, you need 3, but you have 2. You have to be content with the 2. And if so, I tell myself, conscientize yourself that what you have is enough for you to do what you want to do and to be happy about it. Happiness is intentional. Contentment is intentional. But the more we clamor for things, the worse are. And then coming to food, I think we also have to decide what we like to eat and be content with that one. We have a penchant for eating local food. As much as possible, I want to eat local food. When I feel like eating ampesi in the morning, that is what my body craves, but not in excess. If I eat 2 fingers of plantain and I'm satisfied, that will take me a long way, and that will not make me snack. And the snacking is also another issue that bothers us. We need to work, but we also need to eat. And moderation, as the Bible says, is what we need. Moderate whatever you are eating, moderate whatever you are doing. And then when you are tired, you should know that you are tired. Find a way of getting rest. That is what I do. It's very, very important. As when I was head of department and vice dean, there were meetings upon meetings upon meetings. Sometimes if you don't eat in the morning, you will end up in the evening, you are having eaten. And then the moment you get seated at home, you are off to sleep. And then other diseases would also set in. Let's find time for ourselves. We are very busy, but we can't take ourselves out of the business. That is my advice. Eat good food. Coconuts, drinking coconut milk and water, the water. I mean, that's what I know it. Coconut water and eating coconut is good. Fruits and vegetables. If you get healthy tomatoes, fresh onions, eat your kenke. Be satisfied with it. It's important. When our bodies are nourished well, our minds would be able to work for us. So please, we are busy. We have coined the word busyness for ourselves to the extent that even when we have to nap for 5 minutes, we feel guilty. It should not be so. Let us endeavor to take care of ourselves. Yeah. Mental health, we do a lot of brain work. If your mind is not clear, you are in trouble. your organization is in trouble. So it's our minds are in us. We have to take care of our minds, take care of our bodies, take care of our happiness, our emotional balance, and all will work well for us. Thank you very much.
This is awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you. Okay, so do we have Apostle EOK Donko now to share with us? Do you have Apostle EOK Donko now to share with us? Okay, so we would continue with the final announcement, then we'll call it a day. So members, we are still calling on members, individuals who want to become members. As a professional body, we have 4 main categories of membership. We have affiliate members, associate members, full members, and fellow members. As an individual, you can become a member through 2 main routes, either through our academic route, or you come through what we call the direct membership route. And with the direct membership route, you would need to submit your CV filled with, you need to submit your CV with a filled membership application form for an assessment. So after the assessment, then a membership grade will be assigned to you. Individuals who want to become members can contact the number directly on the presentation. That's 0248 599959, 0248 599959, or can visit our website www.cilgghana.org, cilgghana.org. Also, on the 13th of June, this is a member-only activity for only members. Our leadership book club meeting comes on the 13th of June for only members. In our first quarter, we did something on the leader who had no title. So on the 13th of June, which is a Thursday, between 5 and 7, we are still meeting to have a discussion on the book and how it has affected our leadership style and how it's affecting those who are associated with us. More of what to expect during the book club will be shared on our membership platforms. On the 27th of June 2024, I will have another public lecture, which will be the 3rd public lecture in the year 2024. And this time we'll be looking at our responsibilities as leaders and climate change. Our responsibilities as leaders and climate change. And it's from 5 to 7, and this will be an online meeting as well. But the public lecture is open to all. It's open to all. Then we'll have our membership validation seminar. Our in-person training comes off from the 22nd to 26th of July, 2024, at 9 to 4 p.m. each day. And the venue is at Mecklin Hotel, Kumasi. Registration will be open on the 3rd of June. On the 3rd of June, the registration will be open. And the registration link will be shared both on our WhatsApp, on our main platform website, as well as our WhatsApp platform for members and non-members to register for this event. Further information will still be shared on those platforms as well. Finally, individuals who want the admission for postgraduate studies, as it has already been done by CILG USA in collaboration with IIC Technology University, can still send me an email with the academic documents or also give us a call for discussion. And the number is still 0248 5999 59. So thank you so much for making time to join this evening's presentation. We are sorry the second presentation could not come on due to issues with network. It's now raining everywhere. Even at my side, it's raining. So we are sorry the second presentation couldn't come on, but subsequently we would have all our presentation. And please kindly visit both our websites for the full video of this from Monday onwards. Members, we are going to share the link when the video is uploaded onto our platform so that we can still go back and play it. As we've been doing, as at this point in time, we can all put on our video whilst we say bye-bye to each of us, then we'll end the meeting. So we can put on our video whilst we go with, can put on our video whilst we say bye-bye to each of us. Dr. Addo, I can see you. Bye-bye. I'm working on your questionnaire. Kenna Osmanu, I can see you.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, yes, Mr. Asante, I can see you. So we'll say bye-bye, Dr. Abdi, Victor Abdi, Dr. Bois, I can see you. So at this point in time, we'll say bye-bye to all of us. And we'll meet again on the 13th of June. And it's this time we're going to be on our Book Club. So you can unmute yourself and say bye-bye. So bye-bye to all of us.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Solid presentation.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mr. Razak, bye-bye.
Dr. Abby, bye.
Hey, Dr. Engman, bye-bye. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.